All right, welcome back. This is part 2 for the first assignment. So we're going to talk about occupations and jobs. So again, what we're talking about today is pattern number 1, which is subject plus verb be, am, is, or are, and a noun, right? And so what we're talking about is what those nouns can look like and what they do look like in a lot of cases. So what we have here, so subject, plus verb be, plus occupation or job. So a lot of times we will use this pattern to tell people about our jobs and to tell them what we do. So for example, I am a teacher. You are a student. He is a manager. She is a doctor. We are cashiers. They are construction workers. And again, I know this picture or this page, doesn't have pictures on it. There will be other pictures. So if you're looking at some of these and you're saying, oh, I don't know what that job is, we will talk about those. So let's look at the examples in more detail. So I am a teacher. So I, subject, am, verb, a teacher, job. That's my job, right? One thing you will notice about all of these, and let's see, I don't know if it shows you my mouse. Hopefully it does. One thing you will notice is that there is an A in front of the job. So I don't say I am teacher. I am a teacher, right? I am a teacher. And you'll notice a or an in some cases with many of these. Unless, of course, something is plural. And we'll talk about this. So you are students. You, subject, are, verb, students, job. Some people say being a student isn't a job, and I think it is though, because you work hard. It's hard to be a student. It's not easy. It takes a lot of time, and you're studying a lot. So one thing you'll notice here says students. You are students. So I'm going to go back just real quick. So you said, okay, there's a teacher. A means the same thing as one, right? It means the same thing as one. I am a teacher because there's one of me. You are students. There are many students here. So we wouldn't say you are a student with an S because it's more than one. Many times for plurals, we don't need to put something in front of our noun. And we wouldn't want to put an A because it wouldn't make sense, right? A students, it's like saying one and then saying, but there's more than one, and that wouldn't be correct, right? So you are students. If it's plural, in this instance, for these sentences, we don't need a or an if it's plural. And again, plural, you might remember from class, means two or more. So two or more. He is a construction worker. So we use a because there's one of him, right? And I'm gonna move my little thing there. So he, subject, is, verb, a construction worker, right? That's his job. She is a cook. She, subject, is, verb, a cook, job. It would also probably be okay to say she is a chef if you like the word chef. Chef is spelled C-H-E-F. So that would be a correct sentence here too. I know some people like to say cook, some people like to say chef. They're both right. We are waiters. So subject, right here, we are, verb, waiters, job. And again, this one we don't need a or an because it's plural. because there's many, right? There's more than one. And the last one for this part, they are doctors. They, subject, are, verb, doctors, job. They are doctors. That's my cell phone. I have funny ringtones so that I noticed it. So now we're going to write a sentence. So I've given you the name of the job. We're going to write a sentence now. So this one, so what would we say for this subject? What is our pronoun? I, he, she, it, they, we. What do we see here? We see a girl, right? A woman. So we're going to have she as our subject, right? So she. What do we use with she? What verb? Am, is, or are? Which one? What do you think? You can say it. You can just think it. So she is, right? She is. And so we have the name of the job. How many though? Before we write this down, how many are there in this picture? How many people? Is there one? Is there two? There's just one, right? So we're gonna go ahead and add a. She is a cashier because a means one, right? A means one. And we'll talk about when we use an. For this lesson, we won't really see and if it does come up, I will point to it and say we use and with this one. Most of these we will use a. So for right now, we're just going to stick with using a. I will talk about a versus and in later lessons and which one we should use with which word. We're going to write another sentence. So here we have some musicians. Musicians. Musicians are people who play music. They play musical instruments. Musicians, maybe they play the piano. These ones right here, you can see they have a lot of different things that they play. We could also say a singer, somebody who sings is a musician. So these are people who play music, they perform music. So we're gonna write a sentence. So how many do we see here? I'm not gonna ask you what the number is, but do we see, is it one? Is it more than one? Is it two? Is it 10? I didn't count how many people. But what are we gonna use for our subject? I, you, they, we. What do we think? What's a good subject for this? So we're gonna go ahead and use they, right? If you wanted to write we, that could be something you choose. You could choose you, plural you. We're going to go with they for this one. And I'll talk about the other one. So they, what do we use with they? Do we use am, is, or are? What do you think? They what? They am, they is, they are. Which one? They are. And we're going to talk about, so we see some musicians, there's more than one, right? So it's not just one musician, it's many. And if we look at this word right here, there's an S right there. I have added that S for you to help you out. So they are musicians, like that. So they are musicians. And again, we don't need a because we only use the a if there is one, right? So other subjects you could have used, we went with they, but if you said we are musicians, that would be a good sentence. Or you, plural you are musicians, that sentence would have worked too. We went with they just to keep it simple for this one. But those sentences would have been good too. All right, so we're gonna take just a couple minutes. I'm gonna move my little screen around. Hopefully my face doesn't get in the way. We're gonna read through these and I might, take a little time and talk about each one of these jobs. These are just some different jobs. I have 3 slides for this. You might see 1 or 2 of the jobs a few times. You might see them more than once. I chose these pictures because I wanted to give you as many vocabulary words as possible. So we're going to go through and read these. I'll say each one twice. I may say a few words about each job. If you don't see your job on here, maybe you saw on one of the other slides. There's lots of different things on here. So we're going to start over here. So this is office worker. Office worker. And this talks about somebody who works in an office, right? We don't know what their job is in the office, but just somebody who works in the office. Next one, computer programmer. Computer programmer. And this person here, they make programs on computers. They give computers directions. They can set up websites, different things like that. Next one, right here, veterinarian. Veterinarian. That one's kind of a hard one. Let's say that nice and slow. Veterinarian. So one thing you might notice about this one, so the T, again, I hope you can see my mouse here. The T, a lot of times we say it as a D to make it easier to say. So we could say, and that's how I pronounce it too, is with the D sound. So I could say veterinarian, right? With a nice strong T sound. Veterinarian. Veterinarian. A lot of people will say it as veterinarian with the D. This is an animal doctor. You could also say vet. That's what most people say, V-E-T, vet. So like when I take my dogs to the vet, that's what I would say. You know, I don't say I'm taking them to see the veterinarian. I say I'm taking them to see the vet. And again, I'll read all of these once more through when we go through, because I know some of you might just want to practice reading and not listen to me talk in between each one. So I will go through at the end and I will read all of these. Street vendor. Street vendor. So this is a person who sells things on the street from usually a little cart, just like this. It could be food, it could be other things. Factory worker. Factory worker. So this is a person who works in a factory. So nice and simple there. Politician. Politician. So politicians, you might have heard a lot about this word. So politicians, these are our people who are in government. So people who have jobs in government who make decisions. So politicians would be like governors, senators, representatives, the president, those sorts of people. So politician. Tour guide. Tour guide. So a tour guide is somebody who, let's say at a historical site, there's different places you can find tour guides, but let's say it's a place with history. Actually, let's say museum. Let's say you go to a museum, a tour guide will walk around with you and will tell you about each of the things that you see in that museum. Sometimes when you visit cities, so maybe famous cities in Europe, there may be tour guides who will walk around with you and who will tell you the history, and they will tell you about the different things that you are seeing. Next one, entrepreneur. Entrepreneur. So an entrepreneur, this is somebody who starts maybe a small business. So somebody who has an idea and they make that idea work. So this could be something, it could be something, a physical thing, it could be something online. So entrepreneur, these are the people with, you know, the new ideas, and they start new businesses, either physical or online. We're gonna go over here, I'm gonna move my little thing. A lot of talking. Over here, ballet dancer. So a dancer is somebody who dances, who performs. Astronaut. Astronaut. This is a person who goes into space. They visit space. Miner. Miner. So a miner, their job is to get coal out of the earth. So coal, it's like a black rock, coal, miner. Miners also can get other things out of the ground, so other kinds of rocks. A lot of times, the most famous kind of miner you'll usually hear about in stories is coal miners. What you see with this guy here he has coal. Miners can get other different kinds of rocks and things out of the ground, though, underneath the ground. Next one, teacher. We all know what a teacher is, right? I hope so. So teacher, a person who teaches students. Real estate agent. Real estate agent. So this is a person who can help you buy a house. They can also help you sell a house. Bellboy. Bellboy. So at a hotel, you can see he has the bags right there. This is the person that helps take people's bags up to their rooms for them, and does other small tasks around the hotel, helping the guests. Gas station attendant. Gas station attendant. So this is a worker right here who works at a gas station. Most of the time in California, we would just call them, I call them cashiers. You could call them a gas station attendant. They're the person who's there, who's helping you either buy gas, or if you're buying snacks from inside, that's the person who helps you. In other states, so the first example, the example that I can think of just off the top of my head, is I took a trip to Oregon. And when you go to Oregon, there are people, you give them your card, they work for the gas station, and they put your gas in your car for you. I was very surprised by that, because I saw this worker standing there, and I said, "What are you doing? Why do you want my card?" Like, and I didn't realize it was because he was a gas station attendant, and his job was to put gas in my car. So a little surprise there. We could call a gas station attendant somebody who works at a gas station. Judge. Judge. So a judge is somebody who works for a court. So when there are problems, so either criminal or civil problems, the judge will help decide what happens with the case. They will oversee the case. Sometimes the judge works alone. Sometimes they work with other people, called a jury. Customs officer. So this is a person working for the customs office. So customs refers to things coming in and out of the country. So a customs officer would be one of the people working in those offices and handling those things. Lawyer. So a lawyer is somebody who works in the court. Their job is to help make a case. So they will be, so when we have court cases, there's two sides. And the lawyer will argue for either this side or this side. There'll be two lawyers, and they argue against each other and try and figure out what is the truth and who is right, who is wrong in that situation. Cashier, this is the person who helps you buy things. They ring you up and then they ask you to pay, and they take your money, give you cash back, whatever it is. You can find cashiers in many places. Taxi driver. So this is a person you can call if you need somebody to drive you from one place to another, for a fee. You, of course, have to pay for it. You might be more familiar with Uber driver or Lyft driver. Maybe some of you even are Uber drivers or Lyft drivers. Those tend to be a little more popular in California than in other states. at least in our area of California. So when you go to call for somebody to drive you, usually it's going to be Uber or Lyft, depending on what you like. In some places though, you can call taxis. Down here we have speaker. So here is our speaker right here. So speaker is a person who gives a talk. They usually talk about a certain subject. They tell people important things. Delivery man. So delivery man, this you could think of as, so delivery man is very kind of general. This could be your postman, the man or woman, and if that's the case, who delivers your mail. There's also, if you buy things from Amazon, there might be an Amazon delivery man who brings your boxes. So a delivery man is a person, you could say delivery woman if it's a woman. This is a person who brings things to your house or your place of business. So they deliver, so boxes, packages, food sometimes. So there's food places that deliver, and they will send a delivery man with your food, and then you get your food and you're, happy with your food. Butcher. So butcher, this is somebody who works with meat, animal meat. Their job is to cut it and prepare it and help get customers the kind of meat that they want. Pharmacist. This person right here is the person, so when you need medicine, you will go to the pharmacy and your medicine will be given to you by a pharmacist. Their job is they have all the medicine and they put the medicine in the bottles for you. They have the instructions, they're trained to do this and they're licensed to handle the medicine. So they're the person who helps you out when you go to the pharmacy. Receptionist. So receptionist, this person is the first person you'll usually see when you go into an office or a big business. They're the person that says hi, they take the phone calls, they can give you directions. Plumber. So if you have problems with your toilet, your sink, your bathtub, your shower, anything with pipes and water goes through it, the plumber is the person to call for that. Musician. So we talked about musicians. Musician is a person that plays music. They could play many different kinds of instruments. Musician is just the word for somebody who plays music. Chef. So this is a person, this we can also say cook. This person makes food, usually at restaurants. You could have like personal chefs or like chefs on like cruise ships. But these are people who are paid to cook. Baker. So bakers are like chefs, kind of. A chef makes food. Bakers makes things like cake, bread, pastries. So things usually with a flour base, pies. So the sweet treats that you enjoy, those are made by bakers, unless of course you are the baker and you make them. Artist. So this is a person who draws or paints. They create art. There's many, you can also do nowadays, what is very popular is digital art. So artwork that is drawn on the computer, so there are digital artists. So we're gonna read through all of these again. I do have a few more slides. I'll try and go a little quicker with the other ones. I just wanted to go through these. So first one, office worker. Computer programmer. Veterinarian. Street vendor. Factory worker. Politician. Tour guide. tour guide, entrepreneur, entrepreneur, ballet dancer, ballet dancer, astronaut, astronaut. I'm gonna move this up here. Minor, minor, teacher, teacher, real estate agent, real estate agent, bellboy, bellboy. This one's kind of a long one. Gas station attendant, gas station attendant. Next one, judge, judge, customs officer, customs officer. Next one, lawyer, lawyer, cashier, cashier, taxi driver, taxi driver, speaker, speaker, delivery man, delivery man, butcher, butcher, pharmacist, pharmacist, receptionist, receptionist, plumber, plumber, musician, musician, chef, chef, baker, baker, artist, artist. All right, so we got a few more. Let's see. Ooh, there we go. So for this one, so just to save a little time, I'm gonna go through, and again, you'll see some of these that are repeats of what we saw on the previous page. But again, I just wanted to kind of go through these. So these ones we're just gonna read for now. One thing I'll point to, so the one right here, number 3, the third one, that says barman right here, we would usually say bartender. So we'd usually say bartender. Maybe I think maybe in other countries, maybe other states, they might say barman. California, we'd say bartender. And this is the person who serves alcohol at a bar. I'm just going to point to a few others. So builder, we'll usually say construction worker right there. Engineer, this is the person right here that they plan things like buildings. They plan building things. They could do bridges, buildings. They make the plans. They figure out how things will work, weight, all kinds of things like that. Down here, optician. You might also see the word optometrist for optician. Optometrist is the other word. This is your eye doctor. So like when I got my glasses, I went to an optician, an optometrist, and they, you know, checked my eyes and said, yes, you need glasses. And I said, yes, please, thank you, I'd like to see. And then down, let's see. Oh, there we have vet right there. So we see vet. Reporter. down over here. This is a person. Oops, we're gonna go back, sorry. Reporter is a person. Let's see if it'll clear. It's angry. Reporter is a person who goes out and they get news stories. So things you see on the news, reporters are responsible for those. I want to point to these two right here. I'll talk about accountant too. I know I'm kind of jumping around. But just because many of these are repeats, some of them I think from the pictures we can kind of see. Hairdresser versus barber. So barber usually cuts only men's hair. They also shave. You can see he's shaving his face. Barbers usually cut only men's hair. The hairdresser will cut hair for women and men and children. And then right up here, accountant. This is a person. I can't decide where I'm on my computer. So the accountant, this is a person who is in charge of, so a business could have an accountant that works for them. They're in charge of the money and making sure enough money is coming in, money is going out. You can call an accountant to come help you with your business and just check and make sure enough money is coming in, enough money is going out. So they handle the money. They look at the money and, if there's any problems, they, let you know. So we're going to go through and we're just going to read these. I know you're like, why couldn't you have done that for the last one? Well, we talked about most of these in the last one. Well, also dentist. Dentist, this is your teeth doctor. They clean your teeth. If you have problems with your teeth, they help fix them. All right. So this first one, accountant. Accountant. Barber. Barber. Barman. Barman. Builder. Builder. Butcher. Butcher. Chef. Chef. Cashier. Cashier. Dentist. Dentist. Engineer. Engineer. Fireman. Fireman. Doctor. Doctor. Judge. Judge. Hairdresser. Hairdresser. Lawyer. Lawyer. Optician. Optician. Nurse. Nurse. Policeman. Policeman. Postman. Postman. Reporter. Reporter. Scientist. Scientist. Vet. We'll wait for that to disappear. There we go. Vet. Plumber. Plumber. Waiter. Waiter. Waitress. Waitress. Carpenter. Carpenter. All right, next one's the last one, I promise. All right, so there's a few more right here. So we have architect. So they also help plan buildings. Engineer versus architect. So architects might do like really basic stuff like houses. But if you have something, let's say like a really tall building, or like a bridge, something where there's a lot of weights, there's lots of different things going on, you might have an engineer involved. So really small things though, like houses, an architect can usually handle those. It's when you have really big things that you'll bring in engineers. Engineers they do a lot of different things, and they have different kind of specialties. Astronomer, this is a person who studies the stars. Their job is to study the stars, the planets, those sorts of things. Author, this is a writer. I think we've seen a lot of these. Oh, here's a farmer. So farmer, their job is to, so usually when we think of farmers, we think of people who grow food. So farmers will grow crops, so vegetables, things that we eat, plants that we eat. In this one, we do see an animal. So farmers might also raise animals that then we later also eat, so like cows. In California, and maybe you know this, many times, so if there's more food, more plants than animals, we'll call them a farmer if they have more plants than animals. If they have mostly animals or only animals, we'll call them a rancher. We'll call them a rancher. So that's just a little thing you might notice in California. So if you hear somebody called a rancher, that means that they work on a ranch, and ranches mainly raise animals. And usually, you know, if they raise cows, those cows are something that, you know, later are sold to be eaten, to become hamburgers. Mechanic, this is a person who fixes cars. Pilot, a person who flies planes. Police officer, I think this was on the last one, was it? Or maybe it was the one before, I'm not sure. A person who helps uphold the law, helps keep people safe, and who you can call if you have an emergency. Psychiatrist, we'll let that disappear in a second. So a psychiatrist, you might also hear the word therapist. These are people that you can talk to if you're having emotional or mental problems. Obviously right now we're in quarantine, so we can't go out and visit a therapist or a psychiatrist, but these are people that normally you can go to them, you can talk about your problems, and they can help you with the emotional part of dealing with those problems. And then a surgeon right here. So a surgeon is a kind of doctor. It's a kind of doctor who performs surgeries. So surgeries is, of course, when you have to cut the body and, you know, fix something inside and then sew it back up. So that's a surgery. So we're gonna go through and read these. So first one, thought I saw somebody walking by. I was waiting for my dogs. Whenever they see people, they have to bark. Oh, they're sleeping. They're sleeping back there. They've been so good. I'm so proud of them. But this is only the second video of the day, so I still got one more. So we'll see if they're still good and quiet. All right, so enough about my dogs though. Accountant, accountant, architect, architect, astronomer, astronomer, author, author, baker, baker, butcher, butcher, carpenter, carpenter, dentist, dentist, doctor, doctor, farmer, farmer, firefighter, firefighter, judge, judge, mechanic, mechanic, nurse, nurse, pilot, pilot, plumber, plumber, police officer, police officer. Let that clear for a second, and I'll say that again. Police officer. And then I'm just gonna say the 4 at the bottom, because if I move the mouse, that little square will come up. Next one, psychiatrist, psychiatrist. Next one, surgeon, surgeon. Last one, teacher, teacher. All right, so this concludes our little talk on professions and jobs. It kind of went a little longer than I thought it would, but hopefully you got something out of it. Just a preview time. So hopefully this helps you a little bit with what you can write for the activity. Little preview. We're going to talk about hobbies in our next video, so stay tuned for more. Again, though, if you have any questions about what we talked about here, you can comment in the comments section here on YouTube. You can send me an email. You can ask a question on the Google Classroom. The pictures of the jobs, so these ones right here, these 3 right here, those pictures right there are on the Google Classroom. So those are the ones that are on the Google Classroom. When we do the family one, which will be later in this week, when we do that family one, this will be in the Google Classroom as well. That I'll have that here, but that will be from the Google Classroom is what I should say. So again, hope you enjoyed. Hope this was helpful. If you have questions, please let me know. And again, if you did, I think for this one, I think the part 2 for the activity wasn't as confusing as the part 1. But if you watch this and you're like, oh, I understand now what she wanted, you're always able to go back and redo the activities. So you can submit it. You can submit it as many times as you want. You don't have to, of course, if you've already finished it and you felt pretty good about it. Or if you haven't done it, hopefully you'll go into it with the good understanding of how to do that second part. So this was the form that goes with what we have in the Google Classroom in this section. So again, hope you learned something, and let me know if you have questions, and stay tuned for more. Let's see. I'm really bad at ending these. How do I stop it? I don't know. Okay.